your life.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm so sorry, everybody. I did warn you we're having all kinds of issues and all kinds of problems today with our internet services and computers and so on and so forth. Anyway, and we've lost everybody. We had so many people in the chat room, but we've lost you. So we're hoping whatever you typed in, whatever you want to say to us, you need to do it again if you wouldn't mind, because we would love to have your input, as you know. So I'm going to carry on chatting. If somebody could actually type it into the chat room so that I know that I'm not just talking to myself here. That would be awful, wouldn't it, if I was talking just to myself? But anyway, if you could let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, etc., etc., we would love if you could do that. So, as I was saying, when nobody could hear me and I was chattering away, I thought I was sort of really chattering away and then having a good time all by myself, apparently. This week, for the first time in between, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years, I've finally made real proper uh, thinking about it ice cream. When Reese was here a few weeks ago, I made him some chocolate ice cream, but it was a bit of a, how can I say this? It was uh, cobbled together is the word that we would use. Yes, cobbled together would be. But he loved it just the same. We put it in the freezer and it worked and it was just the same. But I have now been making some really, really delicious ice cream. Now, Chris hasn't, you didn't check, did you? You didn't check the vanilla, or did you?
You gave me samples
I,
of vanilla.
I
Yes.
get, yeah, okay. So I made some vanilla. I made some cherry, which is my one of my favorites. When I start to talk about ice cream and I think, oh, I like cherry the best, but then I think, no, actually, I really like rum and raisin. But then I think, no, I've actually liked coconut, and on it goes. And so you see, I have different favorites on different days. But then, and also, what else did I make, Chris? I tried some mint ice cream, which I think it was my first time making mint ice cream. Uh, for Chris, and Ashley doesn't like chocolate. And who doesn't like chocolate? Chris is one of those who doesn't like chocolate. I would have put mint and chocolate together. I bet you would too. But Chris doesn't like chocolate, so I thought, oh well. So I went into my little herb garden and I chopped and chopped and I cut and cut and then I muddled and muddled the mint together. Do you know what muddling is? Muddling is it's actually, I think it's more of an alcoholic term, but you can muddle things, which basically means you mush them up, you mash them up, and you muddle them all together until all the juices come out of the mint, and then you've got those mint leaves which are beautifully, beautifully crushed and so on, and you get all the flavors from the mint out of it. So, Chris, can you? She's here. I know you think that I've got a little gnome sitting on my shoulder here, but actually, it's Chris. It's actually Chris, because we're actually both of us using the same computer because everything is mucked up today. So, Chris, you don't have to get it. You can get in there. I don't care if you get in the picture with me. Oh, come on, take the starlight away from
Hello,
me.
everybody. But Rosemary, we do have people on.
Uh oh.
They can hear us now, which is amazing. And Julia says, I see you. Lots of love from Julia in the
Oh,
Netherlands. I think you are amazing.
thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you for that. So at least we know that people can hear us now. We unfortunately we lost quite a few people, but we're hoping that they can see that we're back on. And if not, we're just going to do this for our own selves, just for our own fun. Are you having fun, Chris?
Uh,
Come on.
Tell us a good story,
Come
Rosemary.
on.
Let's get some fun going here.
Wait a minute. I want to know.
I'm calming down after
Chris,
our quick frenzy of
Chris,
technological
okay.
challenges.
Chris is at the moment, only because she's the only one here, but she's my official taster. So the food, the ice cream. Let's start with the vanilla.
All right.
You,
So, Rosemary had heavy whipped cream. All natural
Yes.
ingredients, things fresh from the garden. It was
Nothing
stupendous.
added. No, don't be silly. Come on, tell the honest truth. Tell, you know.
If I want any more, I have to say it was stupendous, right? No, it really was.
No, you have to. But here's the thing: even when you have ice cream, I'm sort of looking at, well, not quite sure what I've been doing with my hair there, but it's all sticking up. I look like my brother. My brother's hair sort of does that. It sticks up without any help from anything. It just anyway. Forget the hair. So yes, well, you know, uh, I like to use extracts if I can't find the real ingredient, because extracts are in themselves pure. They come from whatever fruits or herbs or whatever. I prefer extracts to essences. You love this? You think, don't you? You actually think that you're coming on this show and you're going to listen to all the spooky stuff, and here I am talking about ice cream, right? Anyway, I used some delicious cherries to make the cherry ice cream, which I think is perfect. Chris had never had it, had you?
No, I hadn't, and it was really, really good. I almost would have gone over my most favorite, which is vanilla. I would almost say the cherry was better.
See, converting. Anyway, enough of the food. You want a story?
I think we need a story to give people
Yes,
time
but
to find
just
us.
hold on a minute. It isn't Saturday morning and it isn't story time. So, let's think of a story. I'm going to think of a great story. Do you want a spooky story or do you want just a story? I can tell you a snake story if you like. Do you want
I
a
was
snake?
just going to say, what story were you telling this week that freaked us out? Go ahead.
Okay. So, of course, we're in Florida, and in Florida, as Chris is learning, um, but not just in Florida, because in Vermont, let me tell you, there are rattlesnakes all over the place. So let's not just say it's Florida, but in Florida, we do have snakes and stuff like that. But in my experience, even in England, we come across snakes from time to time, although in England we have uh, really harmless, pretty much harmless snakes. But anyway, here it is in Florida. So I had arranged to go out with my friend Mary Lou, and she'd pulled up into the driveway, and I waved at the window and said I'm on my way out, and that was fine. And it was 2 or 3 years ago. We still had uh, my darling cachorro, and we had Feather, and Feather uh, was quite small, little black spaniel with a white feather on her. Actually, was on her chest. You remember that,
I
Chris? She was
do.
just beautiful, which is why I called her Feather. Anyway, so Feather, such a naughty little puppy, would get into anything and everything. If you left this much space, she would get through it. And she wasn't that small, but she just was like a Houdini and she would just, escape. So I, or with always, as always with Feather, um, if I was going out, I'd have to pen them in. So I'd use a baby gate and put the put the puppies in the kitchen. And uh, so that's what I'd done. Get myself together, open the door to go out to meet Mary Lou in the driveway. Open the door, and as I open the door, and the door pulls in towards the living room, as I open the door, I feel this just soft, furry, beautiful, really soft thing at my ankle, my left ankle. And I look down and I see this black, furry, whatever, it felt furry. And my first thought was, how on earth did Feather escape? But then, as I'm thinking this, I'm also thinking, that's not Feather. And as I'm beginning to realize what is on my ankle, this thing starts to wind itself around my ankle and slowly wind itself up my leg. And I'm realizing I couldn't believe it. It was so soft, but I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It was a snake. So I'm now standing in the doorway of the house. I'm screaming to Mary Lou, help or something, help, help, help. And I'm also shaking my leg, trying to get the snake, which has now wound itself way up onto my calf, around my ankle and my calf. And I'm shaking and shaking and shaking my leg to try to get the snake off of my leg. And Mary Lou's on the phone in the car and she's chatting away to somebody. And I'm shouting out to her to come help me and not knowing what to do. And she finally, as she finally saw me, and the moment she saw me, so I'm sort of doing this weird thing in the doorway. She couldn't see the snake, of course, but she's obviously can see there's something is wrong. She finally gets out of the car, and as she gets out of the car, I finally managed to shake the snake off of my leg, and it drops onto the floor and slithers into my living room and goes behind. I have in the living room, I have these long floor to ceiling curtains, and it stakes its way literally behind the curtain. So here we are, Mary Lou and I, and she comes in, and of course she's seen the snake. She's finally seen what's going on. So we look at each other, and then I said, just watch the snake. I was afraid it would get into the kitchen with the dogs. That's what I was afraid of. And I ran across the street to a neighbor, and this lovely neighbor opened the Rosemary, how are you? Come on in. I said, no, 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 it's Steve. This is her husband, Steve. Is Steve there? We've got a snake in the house. She says, I'm terrified of snakes. But they came over anyway, and they brought with them a very small pillowcase. And Steve hands me the pillowcase. He hands it to me. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And he says, I'm terrified of snakes, Rosemary, but I've heard that if you put a pillowcase over their head, they, they calm down, or you can control them. Well, it's like this little tiny, little bit bigger than a handkerchief pillowcase. I'm not going that close to the snake. So Mary Lou calls a neighbor, and anyway, I get this huge broom, big, heavy, thick bristled yard broom, and Mary Lou gets a mop for some reason or another. And finally, the snake comes out from behind the curtain and goes into the fireplace, where it sits. And then, as it sees us all, it starts to go up. Its head comes up like this, and it starts to hiss, and it's about to strike, right? You think so. We're all terrified. Mary Lou's there with the mop. I'm there with the broom. We're ready to go. I suggest to Steve, I give him a long stick and I say, here, just poke the thing out of the fireplace if you can. Long stick, poke the snake, and we'll figure it out. So he pokes the snake. The snake jumps, slithers across the living room floor. Mary Lou leaps on it with the mop like this and pins it down with the mop, except that the mop breaks. She goes flying. She goes flying over onto the sofa, and now I grab the thing with the broom, and somehow or another I manage to ease it slowly, gently, gently out of the living room, and the thing is sort of whizzing, going, turning its tail's going one way and its head's going another, and it's obviously becoming disoriented. And I finally managed to sweep it out of the living room. I just thought, as we're waiting for people to find us, I thought you might like that story. You see, my life is is exciting, right? It's exciting. It's you don't think of these kinds of things happening to people, and anyone who's in England who's thinking Rosemary dealt with a snake, and it was a huge long thing. Let's not. It wasn't this size.
And this
It
isn't
was
the fish
this
story, is it,
size.
Rosemary?
Is this a fishing story? Yeah, because the snake does get a little longer and a little bigger. You know, it was this wide around. Not really. It was about that wide around, and it was a. They call them black snakes here in Florida, and they're actually quite harmless. Of course, they can bite you, and it hurts, but they don't have that poisonous venom in them. But who wants to be bitten by a snake anyway? But I have other snake stories, but we're not going to tell them today. But I do have a couple of snake stories uh, from my time in Vermont when a snake bit my darling cachorro on the
That's
face.
a worse snake
Th
story.
That's a good such a good snake story, but I can't tell that snake story because I don't want anyone to be disillusioned and to think that I'm a horrible person who would actually chop the head off of a snake, thinking that I'd killed the snake, but actually all I've done when I pull the head of the snake off, the inside of the snake l- sheds its skin, and now I've still got a live snake with its head. No, we're not telling that story today. No, we're not.
So, do people think you're really an animal whisperer?
Okay, let me tell you another story. This is, I mean, I don't know. Is it a psychic story? I don't think it's so much a psychic story, but I do think that we're all of us capable of connecting with our animals in one way or another. And there are some wonderful people who actually talk to animals. They claim to talk to animals. And I think there are some people who genuinely can. Just it's sort of mind talk, and if I can talk to people in the spirit world using that same kind of thing, why can't we do it with our animals as well? And Chris had introduced me to, what's the name of that lady,
Anna
Chris?
Breitbart.
Anna Braithbart or something like that, who, if you watch her YouTube's videos, she is amazing. She is amazing. And of course, then Chris said to me, "So can you do the same thing?" And I actually have done with my own animals. I don't usually do it with anybody else's animals because I'm not invested really with anybody else's animals. Although, if I'm asked to give healing to an animal, if I'm asked to sort of check out an animal, then I will, definitely can connect in that way. Just by the way, they don't have to be dead to do it. So then, of course, Chris said to me, "So, can you talk to Moonlight?" For those of you who don't know, Chris's kitty, I don't know where he is at the moment, is his name is Moonlight Graham, um, named after,
The movie Field of Dreams character.
right? There's a baseball player, Moonlight Graham, right?
Yes.
So Moonlight is obviously staying with us with Chris, and so of course naturally Chris said to me, "So can you talk to Moonlight?" And I said, "Well, yes, of course. I mean, when I'm around animals, I'll talk to them in my way, right?" So, so not long after that, I was sitting in the living room, and Moonlight came, and he sort of, you know how cats do that? They brush against your legs, and then he just lay down. He lay on my feet, basically saying to me, "I need your attention. Can you pay attention to me? I need your attention." So I'm stroking him and saying to him, "So do you need anything in particular?" And he said, I hear him say quite clearly, "I'm hungry." I said, Really?" He said, "Yeah, I'm hungry." And he told me 3 times. Now, I always apply the 3-time rule. So if you hear it 3 times, you follow it, you go with it. So, okay. So I called to Chris. "Chris, could you give me some nibbles or something for Moonlight, please?" So you come in and she brings some kibble or so, I don't know what it
Dried
was,
salmon.
dried salmon or whatever it was, and hands it to me, and then goes away, leaving me with the cat. But the cat, you see, is not used to me. I don't feed the cat. The cat is not used to me. So of course he knows that he's told me that he's hungry. He's heard me call Chris. So he thinks the food is with Chris. So he jumps up immediately, runs after Chris, meowing, and where, okay then, where is it then? Where is my treat? because he knows I've heard him and he knows I've said to Chris he's hungry. Um, but I'm the one holding the treat, and he's so not used to me giving him treats. So I followed him in and said, "Here you go, my lovely. Here is some salmon," and he took it, and that was it. And it was a very, very nice experience, right, Chris?
I think so.
So now Chris is worrying, am I feeding the cat the right food? Does he not like the food I'm giving
Not
him?
at all.
And so on. Anyway, how are we doing? Chris, can you read any of the comments? We've been rabbiting on and rabbiting on because, we've been having all these problems. So, shall we hear from anyone at all?
So our dear friend Gary says, I would have taken care of that snake.
Well, Gary, I know that, but where were you? So, and is it true, Gary, while I've got you here, is it true that you're coming to Connecticut? I do hope so, because I'm dying to see. I've not seen you for ages and ages. This is for everyone who doesn't know. Gary is a really, really great friend of mine, good friend of mine. And I understood from a friend of yours, Gary, that you were thinking of coming to Connecticut on the 27th. Is a good time to remind everybody we are in Connecticut on the excuse me, on the 27th of August. Everybody Saturday morning, and I'm doing a workshop live. You'll be able to come and give me a hug. You'll be able to pinch me and say, is she real? And I will be real. So Gary, let us know if you're coming, because I can't not see you when we're there. All right,
All right,
Chris.
so Shamanth is on saying, can you please ask Gray Eagle to provide me career guidance? I am planning to change jobs, so need guidance. Thanks.
Well, Shiman, thank you. So first of all, thank you for joining us, and thank you for asking the question. However, in these shows, we try to give as much to everybody as we possibly can. The guidance that you're seeking, the guidance that you're asking for, is going to take way longer than we have here today. So you can do this one of two ways. You can book an appointment with me, because as most of you know, I do consultations, and all you have to do, if you want a consultation, or you want to know about a consultation, all you have to do is to email Chris, well, either
One.
Chris or Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. So Chris, KRIS, at rosemaryaltea.com, or Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. And in the subject line, if you just put consultation, so Chris can get on and get it done quickly and easily without having to, sort of read all through it. If we see consultation, we try to get people in as quickly as we can, as soon as we can. Excuse me. So Samantha, that's one way of doing it, is to book a consultation. And if you really do want guidance, and if you do want help in these areas, I would suggest that's the way to go. And if you don't want to do it with me, of course, then you can find someone else. You might know someone else in your area who's really good at doing this. Just be careful when you look for people, because just be. I always say, be open-minded, but be critical. Be critical about what they say to you. Be open-minded, and make sure that you've got a real connection, and don't tell them anything before you go to see them. Don't sit there and say, I my my mother died of cancer and I want to know. She's, because you've already said too much. You've already said way too much. So, let them do the work. And if they're good and if they're real at what they do, they will make connections for you. And then your loved ones in the spirit world, when you give them an opportunity to help you, to come to you and help you, they will guide you and steer you in the best way that they can. Chris.
So that's very interesting, Rosemary, because this week we ended up with an email in the office, and the person said, I only need 15 minutes and Rosemary can help me. So I've seen you give amazing, truthful, with integrity answers in seconds, a yes or a no.
Yeah.
But when people are popping on here as one way to connect with you, you have also given messages in just minutes.
Yeah.
But when it's something really important to you in life, don't you want the best result you can possibly get. And that would be to book a consultation.
When okay, let me thanks, Chris. Let me go a little tiny bit further here. Okay. When you're talking about a situation that changes your life, can really change your life and affect you, it can affect your family, it can affect those around you. Um, the quick fix or the quick answer, yes or no, is not nearly going to be enough. I'm thinking about changing my job. Can Rosemary help me? That's the question I think that was asked. Of course, I can help you. I can sit here and say, well, if you don't like the job you're in, then change. That's that's just common sense, right? Find a job that you do like. But when when you're looking for something that is life changing and important to you, Greg and I, we have to go into much more depth. We have to figure out what your situation is in the job that you have or the relationship that you have. You'd be amazed how many times somebody comes to me and they'll say, you know, I'm not happy in my marriage and, and I want a divorce, Rosemary. Can you give me some help and advice and so on? You would be amazed at how many times that turns into actually your husband is really great and you're never going to find anyone better. Here are the issues and here are the problems, and if you, and you can solve them if you do this and so on and so forth, and you're given guidance and help to steer you to make that marriage much more prosperous, instead of me saying, oh yeah, you need to divorce him, just get rid of him, you'll find someone else, because you don't always find someone else. And also, that saying, you don't know what you've got until you've lost it. You'd be amazed how many people who are in marriages that they're a little bit iffy until one of them dies, and all of a sudden you realize what you had because you don't have it anymore. So y- simple. I can easily, Samantha, I can say to you, oh, come on, yes, of course you must change your job, darling. But there's more to it. There's a lot more to it. There's, yes, well, if you want to change your job, then let's have a look and see what it is about this job that you don't like. And let's make sure that when you're on that path, moving forward to another job or a different situation, let's make sure that you're aware of what it is that you need to look for. And also what pitfalls there are that you. So when you book a consultation, it's at least, I tell people it's 50 minutes. When we write and tell you what it's all about, we say, don't we, the consultation will last 50 minutes. I've never done 50 minutes in my life, actually. Usually it's might be 55, it might be 60, it could be how. Come on, Chris, you help
Hour
me
and a
out.
half, 2 hours. I
Yes.
mean, especially if children are involved.
Yeah, it depends on the subject, and it depends on the depth that we need to go to, we need to look into before we start to even begin to give advice on the future. Let's look at the present, let's look at you, let's look at what you are after. When you have a consultation, we go in depth, it's much more detailed and it's much clearer, and it's much better for me because I'm talking with your loved ones in the spirit world. They know you. I don't know you. They know you and they know what is good for you. This is the difference between somebody telling somebody's fortune. Oh yeah, I see you going to a new country, you're in a new job, and then see you, bye. Off you go, help yourself at that. When your loved ones in the spirit world come through in a consultation, yes, we see you going overseas, we see you in a new job, all the rest of it. However, now what do you need to do to make this work? What are you looking for? What kind of people? What kind of area do you need to go into? And so on. It's so much more in depth. And your loved ones in the spirit world, because they know you so well, are able to say, here are the pitfalls. And here are the things that you need to watch for, which really work for you. So it's a very much more in-depth thing. I'm always wary, and I've done it myself, as Chris said earlier. I've done it myself when I've given, let's say, the quick fix answers, because sometimes an answer is really simple. Yes, you got to get out of that situation, or no, stay where you are, stay put for a while. Whatever the issue, whatever the situation is, there are those answers. But then, what do you do then with it? What do you do then with the information? Yes, you need to get out of it, and then what? And then what are you looking for? And I very, very recently, actually, Chris and I were driving in the car, and someone actually called in and said, would it be possible for me to talk to Rosemary? I only need a few minutes with Rosemary. Is it possible? Blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And I was sitting there listening to this in the car, and actually decided to then chip in and say, okay, this is Rosemary here. But this person wanted me to say one thing. And unfortunately, I had to say something else. I was on the phone to, how long did that phone call
25
last?
minutes.
25 minutes on the phone, just talking about the opportunities, the possibilities, but also explaining you know, sometimes we have to go through the pain of a situation in order to come out of it the other side. And so, uh, be very, very aware of the quick fixes that so many people are tempted to give, because all they do is they leave you wondering, well, then what happens after that? Chris, how are we doing?
We're doing good. Um, so another question you had here, or a comment, is from Julia. Oh my dear, this is a very scary story. Here in the Netherlands, there are practically no snakes. I am happy to say, snakes are so scary. You are a hero. Your life is so exciting.
Well, I have to say that although I did not like that snake wrapped around my ankles, it does make a great story, right? It's a fantastic dinner, over the dinner table story. So I thought we'd share that with you. Chris,
Julia says, I lost my darling horse in 2002. Do you know if there is a heaven for animals?
without a doubt, is it who is this?
Julia.
Julia. Julia, listen, my darling, I have spoken with many animals. You would even a skunk. I think I told this story the other day. Even a skunk, you would be amazed at how many animals I connect with in the spirit world. Um, it is amazing, and it does beg the question, Um, well, I think you said, is there an animal heaven? And I think an animal heaven, certainly for my animals, animal heaven is with those that they love, those who are going to take care of them, those who are going to watch them and watch over them, and so on. And I know, absolutely know, that when it's my turn to go over, I'm going to be expecting a menagerie. Maybe not quite a menagerie, but a lot of dogs, because I'm a dog person. And maybe a little hamster too, my little hamster Dusty that I had when I was. Now there's a great story for you, but we're not telling animal stories. I'm not telling any more stories today. All right, but I do have a great Dusty story. Yes, my brother Terry, my oldest brother Terry, bought me Dusty. I was 14 or 15 years old. He was my only friend. But boy, what a friend that Dusty turned out to be. He was great. Anyway, moving on.
All right, Lorraine says, will Great Eagle be with you in the spirit world when it's your time to transition? And will he be with you again if you choose to reincarnate? Also, do we all have a choice to reincarnate?
I think that we do have choices. I can't say, excuse me, I can't say that we all have choices. I'm really not 100% sure about that, but it does seem to me that we do have choices, and some of us choose to come back here and do this all over again. And some of us choose to explore the universe and the many universes that are out there. Some people um, decide to work to do, to maybe to work on their soul, on their spirit. They may choose to have different experiences within the universe that will help them to grow and to learn and to discover who they are, because after all, that's the reason that we're here. But I do believe that the majority of us, we do have choices, and we can come back here and do this all over again if we so choose. Personally, it's a little bit like holidays. I'm the kind of person, I try to go to different places on my vacation time. I like to explore different areas, different possibilities. So it's doubtful that I would want to come back here and do this all over again. Um, Having said that, if Grey Eagle, and yes, the answer is yes. Gosh, I hope so. Yes, yes, can tell you that's a definite. He will help me in my transition. He will be there with me. We will be working together. Whatever it is that we do in the future, we will be working together and connecting with each other as we've always done. But I think that some of us do uh, get to choose. And if Gregor said to me, "Oh, I know it's not your choice, but we want you to come back here and have another go at this or do this all over again," I might not like it so much, but I would do it because I would only be asked to do something that was beneficial to me, that helped my growth, that helped my learning, and so on and so forth. And I think that's true of all of us. I think that for those of us who choose to come back here and do this all over again, it's not a random choice. It's a choice based on certain facts. It's a choice based on certain, things that we need to learn and to grow. It's a choice based on, the opportunities and the possibilities for us when we do come back here. So, not random choices, thought out choices, and choices that are made having listened to advice from our loved ones, from our family in the spirit world, from those who are of a higher intelligence, know more than we know. So, I think those choices, yes, we do have choices, but I think we can be persuaded one way or another by wise and sane and sensible advice.
All right. Eric is asking, what would you like your lasting legacy to be?
Eric, what a great question. You, of course, you always come up with questions, don't you? Are we meeting tonight, by the way?
We are.
Right then, I could go more in depth tonight. Then, yes, we are meeting tonight. Meeting tonight with my students. That's exciting. Right now, what would my lasting legacy be? Well, as soon as you ask me that, being a very selfish human being, I immediately go to my family. I immediately go to my daughter and to my grandson, because they are my family. And I think that my legacy would be, let me think, gosh, a few things. I would like for them to know from experiencing it from me. I'd like them to know gentleness. I'd like them to know kindness. I would like my legacy for for anybody and everybody to be kind, be gentle. As Grey Eagle says, our world needs gentleness. But as far as my grandson, don't have to worry about my daughter because she's as tough as I am. I'd like my grandson to be tough enough to protect himself, to be tough enough to stand up to the bullies of this world. I'd like him to be tough enough to to protect others, to be a hero for others, if the situation was to call for it. So I think bravery, honesty, truth, and gentleness. There, would that be a good legacy?
That would be a phenomenal legacy.
Right. Don't know if I'll achieve it, but I'm doing my best.
All right. So this is from Betta. I would like to know if there will be a project planned for 10 September, because me and a friend of mine are working so hard for this, but we are waiting for answers to find the sponsor.
Okay, I'm told better. You see, here we go with a quick I'm told to just you just keep moving forward. Trust in the process and just keep moving forward. There.
All right.
Oh, I just gave a quick answer. But that's clear
But you're
and
being told that
but that's
answer.
clear and precise. And yes, I'm listening to Gregor. Gregor is giving me that answer.
All right, then. Gary is saying yes, he plans on being at your event in Litchfield, Connecticut in
Yay!
August.
Oh, good. We're having lunch then afterwards. Just make sure.
And all the information is on our website if you need to find tickets. Then we have a comment from Julia saying, "Thank you so much for your answer. Lots of love."
You're very welcome.
Lorraine is saying, "Ha ha, Dusty. Love your stories, quirky and fun."
Good. I'm glad. I like my stories too. As long as I come out of them unscathed, I'm good. Chris,
And,
keep going.
and Lorraine loved your answer, saying, "That's wonderful. Gray Eagle and Rosemary. The eagle and the rose forever."
Yay! Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
All right. That's all the comments and questions we currently have in the
Okay
chat
then.
room, and we are nearing time.
Okay.
So people have a chance to put in a couple last minute if they want to type it in now.
Well, those of you who are regular to our show, you know that hey, if you're done, we're done. So if anyone has a question or a comment, you better get typing really, really fast, really, really quickly. I would like to give a shout out to Craig. Craig actually helped us, I think once or twice with our webinars, and he was taken into hospital with. I hope I'm not. It's not that personal. He anyway. He'd like healing from all of you because not that he's asked me, but I know through a friend he was. My friend took him into hospital and he has appendicitis, so we're sending him lots of healing. So, Craig, I don't know if you get to listen to this or if you're in surgery, even, but anyway, we're all wishing that you get better soon, which I know that you will. Anyway, any other questions? Any other comments, Chris?
Lorraine is saying that Litchfield, Connecticut is a beautiful place. We've been there often traveling from New York. You will love the area.
Right. And are you coming, Lorraine, if you're in New York and you're not that far away? We'd love it if you were to come and say hello to us. Let me remind people again. We are excuse me, we are in Litchfield apparently. Are we in Litchfield? Is that where we
I
are?
think that's the name of the
Anyway,
town,
we're in
yeah.
Litchfield. I don't know. We're doing this wonderful, wonderful seminar live. So I'm going to be going to Connecticut. I'll be staying in New York with my daughter and my grandson, and then I'll be making my way up to Litchfield on Friday night and doing the seminar on Saturday morning. And we're going to have lots and lots of fun. Hopefully, I'm going to show you how can you raise your level of consciousness. You've always heard me say, in order to be more in tune, in order to be tuned into the spirit world, in order to be tuned into our loved ones, we have to raise our level of consciousness. And how can we do that? So we're going to be talking about that, but we're also going to be getting messages from the spirit world. We hope. We can never guarantee it because you never know. They might decide one day that they don't want to talk to me anymore. No, they would never do that to me. I'm absolutely certain that they would never do that to me. But we hope and we pray, and we're pretty sure that we'll be giving messages from loved ones in the spirit world. So if you are attending on Saturday morning, you might be one of those lucky ones who gets a message from someone you love in the spirit world, because we're going to be doing all of that. We're going to be talking about raising your level of consciousness, becoming more sensitive, more aware. And how do we do all of that? And how can we talk to our loved ones in the spirit world? You know, we don't always want to go through a medium, do we? We don't always want to have somebody else telling us what our loved ones are saying to us. We'd like to know more, and we'd like to be more in tune so that we can have our conversations by ourselves without a stranger being involved. So how are we going to be doing that? How can we begin the process of becoming more in tune, becoming more attuned to our loved ones in the spirit world? So that is Saturday morning, between, I think it starts at 10 till 1. Okay, Chris, anything else before we say goodbye? So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We shall be back again on Saturday morning. And for all of you students who are getting ready for our meeting tonight, I'm looking forward to that as well. So look forward to seeing you then. And until I see you again, everybody, I'd like to say thank you to Chris. We have had a bit of a morning, haven't we? We've been struggling this morning with computers and Wi-Fi and all of that stuff. So thank you all for being patient with us and finding us again. I'd also like to thank particularly and especially thanks to Greg Eagle for being here with us. Until I see you all again, everybody, please have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very, very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.